Hello everyone, and welcome to my BTG official channel. Bill, his longtime friend and mentor, had always been a man of integrity, devoted to his family, generous to a fault, and perhaps too trusting. But lately, Jacob had noticed something disturbingly off. Bill had grown pale, anxious, and withdrawn. His once booming voice now quivered with confusion, and his health had taken a sudden and inexplicable downturn. It was as if life itself had begun to slip quietly out of him. And standing always too close, always too eager to help, was Hayley, Bill's charming, beautiful, and dangerously ambitious wife, along with Randy, the smooth-talking business associate who had wormed his way into both their personal and professional lives. Jacob had initially dismissed his instincts as paranoia, but small inconsistencies began to pile up like storm clouds before a hurricane. Financial statements that didn't add up. Medical prescriptions that Bill swore he never requested. A will, recently updated, that gave Hayley and Randy control of everything should Bill's health fail. Jacob's gut twisted with unease. He had seen manipulation before, but this was different, colder, calculated, deliberate. Hayley and Randy weren't just playing a game, they were orchestrating a slow and silent murder, disguised beneath layers of affection and sympathy. And unless Jacob acted quickly, Bill's days were numbered. He began his investigation quietly, pretending to be the same loyal family friend, while secretly documenting everything. Late nights turned into early mornings as he sifted through emails, traced phone records, and observed the subtle exchanges between Hayley and Randy. They were careful, far too careful, never to let their guard down. But evil always leaves traces, and Jacob knew where to look. He noticed how Randy often checked in at the hospital pharmacy even when Bill wasn't admitted. He saw Hayley's strange purchases, unmarked vials, syringes, and sedatives disguised as beauty treatments. Her stories didn't match her receipts. And when Jacob hacked into Randy's encrypted messages, something he knew was risky but necessary, the truth began to crystallize with chilling clarity. The messages revealed a plan that was as methodical as it was cruel. Hayley and Randy intended to poison Bill slowly, using microdoses of a cardiac depressant that would mimic the symptoms of heart failure. Each episode would make Bill appear weaker, until finally, a fatal heart attack would finish the job, a death that would be written off as natural, leaving Hayley as the grieving widow with a fortune and Randy as her secret partner in both love and crime. The perfect murder. Jacob's heart pounded as he read line after line of their encrypted conversation. They had even discussed the date, Bill's birthday, when everyone would expect him to indulge in his favorite whiskey, conveniently spiked with the final dose. It was all there, the motive, the means, and the timeline. But proof was one thing, stopping them was another. For the next 48 hours, Jacob lived in a haze of adrenaline and fear. He couldn't risk confronting them outright. Hayley was cunning, Randy dangerous. They had everything to lose, and cornered people were the most unpredictable. Instead, Jacob devised a plan that required precision and patience. He needed evidence that would not only expose them but protect Bill before the final strike. On the morning of Bill's birthday, the house was alive with false warmth. Balloons, laughter, the scent of freshly baked cake, all masking the sinister energy that lingered beneath. Hayley, radiant in a red silk dress, flitted about like a perfect hostess, her smile hiding the venom behind her intentions. Randy, always lurking near the drinks cabinet, played the role of the jovial friend, cracking jokes and pouring glasses with practiced ease. And Bill, though smiling weakly, looked frail, his complexion pale, his breathing shallow. He trusted them completely. Jacob arrived early, carrying a gift bag that concealed a small recording device and a vial detection kit. He had disguised his investigation under the pretense of being a helpful guest, but inside, every second counted. He noticed how Hayley kept nudging Randy toward the liquor cabinet, her eyes flicking repeatedly to the bottle of whiskey already opened on the counter. Something in her body language screamed anticipation, a predator waiting for the final strike. Just as Randy poured Bill's drink, Jacob intervened with forced cheer. "Let me do the honors," he said, snatching the glass with a grin. Hayley's eyes narrowed, just slightly, but she recovered with a laugh. "You always have to be the hero, Jacob," she teased. He returned the smile, masking his racing heartbeat. As he turned his back, he pretended to fetch something from the table, but in reality, he switched Bill's glass with a clean one he had brought himself. He slipped the tainted one into his bag for testing later. When Bill finally raised his glass, Jacob watched closely, every nerve on edge. The toast went smoothly. Hayley exhaled, perhaps believing her plan was complete. But before she could savor her victory, Jacob's phone buzzed in his pocket, a discreet signal from the lab technician he had hired in advance. The results from earlier samples, traces of digoxin, a heart medication that could be lethal in excess, had been confirmed in Bill's bloodstream. There was no more doubt. Jacob knew this was his moment. The guests began to drift toward the dining room, laughter echoing off the walls. Hayley and Randy exchanged subtle smiles, convinced their secret was safe. But Jacob was done pretending. He stepped forward, his voice slicing through the festive chatter. "Bill," he said quietly, "I need you to listen to me carefully." The room fell silent. All eyes turned to him. Hayley's expression hardened. "Jacob, what's wrong?" she asked, feigning confusion. He placed the glass on the table. "This drink," he said slowly, "was meant to kill you." Gasps rippled through the room. Bill's face went ashen. "What are you talking about?" he stammered. Jacob pulled out his phone, projecting the encrypted messages onto the TV screen. The damning words filled the air, "Tomorrow night. His heart will stop, and it'll look natural. Make sure he drinks it all." Hayley's face drained of color. Randy's jaw clenched. The room erupted in chaos. Bill pushed back his chair, trembling. "Hayley, is this true?" His voice cracked under the weight of disbelief. She tried to stammer out a defense, tears welling in her eyes. "He's lying, Bill. Jacob's obsessed, he's trying to destroy us." But Jacob silenced her with the audio recording he had made the night before, a conversation between her and Randy in the car, confessing every detail of the plan. The evidence was irrefutable. Randy lunged forward in a desperate attempt to grab Jacob's phone, but Jacob was ready. With one swift motion, he knocked Randy's hand aside and shouted for the police, who had been waiting outside, alerted by Jacob an hour earlier. Within moments, officers stormed in, pinning Randy to the ground. Hayley screamed, trying to run, but another officer caught her at the door. The illusion of her perfect life shattered in an instant. Bill sat frozen in disbelief as the officers led Hayley and Randy away. The woman he had loved, the partner he had trusted, had been plotting his death for months, all for money and freedom. Jacob placed a hand on his shoulder, his expression heavy with both relief and sorrow. "I'm sorry, Bill," he said softly. "I wish I could have stopped this sooner." Tears streamed down Bill's face. "You saved my life, Jacob," he whispered hoarsely. "I wouldn't be here if it weren't for you." The aftermath was as turbulent as the storm that followed that night. The trial that